So for this journal, it's Jackie, by the way, welcome back and thank you for joining me again. This journal is called Mary. I've made it from an old book cover. I've covered old book covers before, but I've never used one exactly as is. But I really like old school stories. This book was falling apart, and it was quite shabby. So the way I've got around that, I didn't want to change the spine. So I've used medium, like a matte medium over it, several coats and some acrylic spray. And then I've used PVA to strengthen. So this is actually really quite stiff and feels quite rough, but should last. And I've done a similar thing with the corners, so they still look quite shabby, but they're quite stiff and rough on the edges. This journal measures 5 inches by 7.5. The spine is 2 inches. I've used a hollow back binding, so it does lie flat. And again, we've got 4 signatures and 176 sides. And I've tried to do the colours inside, sort of pick up on this. This is original to the book. This was on the book. Anyway, I've also used Tracy's new number tags. Thank you, Tracy. They are fabulous. Some freebies, which I think are also from Tracy Fox. And I've used some Nick the Booksmith pages in this one. All of these journals are, I guess, botanical, eclectic botanical, basically. So let's go through this one. So I've also in this one used some pages from the original book. I didn't actually put them into the signatures because it was a little bit musty, but just using the odd page has been fine. So this is some sari silk that I've ruffled. Lots of writing space in my journals, as always. So on this one we've got some little collages inspired by Carol again from Oak House Journals. She really is fabulous, and I'm going to put her contact or links below so that you'll see that. This is a vintage letter which I've used in several ways. You can see I've used it on the collage bits here as washi tape. I've used some of the original images from the book. I think there were only 2 or 3 to make journal cards. I've got some slim pages with some long thin tags in there. I've done this, these are just stuck-on, so this is decoupage really, just to add a bit of colour. And for the pages, I've tried to use vintage books that mimic school subjects. So we've got maths, French, geography, that sort of thing. It's a bit of stenciling to try and pick up on these colours again. It's just a little bit of trim there. This is a dictionary page. I'm sure those schoolgirls use dictionaries. I've done some note paper edges, which probably will ruffle and tear as the book gets used. Some graph paper. I've also used Mrs. Cogg's Gertie's Sunflowers digital download because it seemed to suit the style of this book, and they're just lovely images. This is an old book. If you've got the Concise British Flora, this is the sketchbook that was published that shows his workings before the main book was published. And in my copy, somebody had used this to press flowers, so there are a few marks there from some old pressed flowers, which are well dried up and were no good. I've just put the Mrs. Cogg image on a guest check there to act as a journal card. And I've used some more bits of that linen napkin. This is an old needlework book. This is, I've cut down an envelope here. So we've got a page from the book with natural aging and foxing on it in the back, and an image from Gertie's Sunflowers in the front pocket. And in this, this I think is from Tracy's mushroom kit, and there's just a little image in there. So I've done a couple of those mini envelopes in this one. graph paper. This is the atlas page. This is from Gertie's Sunflowers. This is Tracy's numbers tag, and I think this was a freebie from Tracy. I might be wrong about that. I think it was Tracy Fox. Some French books, vintage French books they are. I think they're about law, but I wouldn't be sure about that. More of that decoupage. I've used a die cut here as a little pocket with a tall tag in it. Some more images from Gertie's Sunflowers. This is Edith Holden. I've done a couple of Nick the Booksmith style ragadies in this journal just because I wanted to have a go at them. I've wanted to for ages. I've used her images, so it seemed appropriate. I haven't done the backs. I've left those on cards so you can write on those if you want to. So that was the first one. Some of those images from the book. Gertie's Sunflower. Yeah. Another lovely image from that Mrs. Cog set. I used Tracy's images and Mrs. Cog's probably the most. I think they're both absolutely amazing artists. And if you've seen, if you've been following Mrs. Cog, you'll know that I've been very, very fortunate and been able to do a swap with her and have the most beautiful journal. I love all my journals. I love all the ones that I've swapped and purchased as well. I do buy them. This is from the book. Again, this is reproduction vintage receipt and another of those little pockets, envelopes, sorry. Another tall tag. Another tall tag in a vellum pocket. I feel like that might tear eventually, I don't know. This is the contents of the original book. I just used an Edith Holden image in that one. And in the back we've got another pocket similar to the front one with another of those Nick the Booksmith inspired ragadies. So that's that one. I haven't put a closure on it. It's pretty much flat. It certainly lies flat if you have it that way. But obviously you could wrap some sari silk. I just didn't want to cover any of it up. I couldn't decide really, so I've left that one without a closure. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all again in a minute.